there's like some sort of muted optimism. There's also some debate, I would say, about what role should Messi have at this World Cup. We are also aware of the fact that they are also at the gates of making even more history than they already have made.
So I'm here in Buenos Aires with Santi Baúza, who's an editor at ESPN and is part of the Hand of Pod podcast. Welcome. We're going to talk about Argentina. How is the mood ahead of the World Cup? Still down from the high of Qatar 3 years ago, or not quite?
I mean, it's certainly not as vibrating and like as exciting as it was prior to Qatar, because I mean there was so much excitement, but at the same time so much expectations to just break such a long drought. Of course, that drought is no longer as long. Of course, since Argentina are probably in the midst of their most successful period ever, and maybe that means that there's not as much hunger, perhaps, to win. But we are also aware of the fact that they are also sort of at the gates of making even more history than they already have made.
Like, what would the feeling be of Argentina to win a fourth World Cup?
So that would make, I mean, if it happened, it would make Argentina only the third team to retain it, and also the first country to win 2 World Cups and 2 continental tournaments back-to-back, since they also won the Copa América in 2021 and 2024, which would be main the world. And but it's also at the same time, I don't know, it's just perhaps we've kind of grown used to how things are right now with the national team. Maybe there's also the fact that the players maybe are not at their best quite like they were like 3.5 years ago. So maybe it's just there's like some sort of muted optimism, maybe just not as loud and as exciting as it was before Qatar. Of course, that was also a World Cup that happened in the summer. I think that also made a lot of difference.
Yeah.
It's
because was there a big sense of Qatar that this is Messi's last stand? We have to do it for him.
But also at the same time, he doesn't have anything to prove anymore. Like before that, there was so much at stake. The stakes were so incredibly high because it was seen as Messi's last chance, last World Cup to win it. And not only did he do that, he did it as the best player in the tournament and as the second top goal scorer. And right now, I mean, there's also some debate, I would say, about what role should Messi have at this World Cup, I think, which is also interesting. And
Talk me through it. What's the debate?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that people have been a little bit, I wouldn't say uneasy, but like a little bit, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I mean, ever since Messi moved to MLS, there's this general agreement that he has done this, maybe not exactly for footballing reasons, but for like as a life choice and maybe as a way to begin thinking about what his life is going to look like once he retires, not just much as just to keep on playing football at the highest level or anything like that. No one is pretending that is the case. But it's still getting called up for the national team. He's still mostly performing for the national team. He has been the top scorer of the qualifiers, which is something that Messi hadn't achieved before. Just a little bit wild, honestly. The fact that he hasn't been bad at all. He's been pretty good in qualifiers before, but he's never been top goal scorer until now that he's in MLS.
And there's no sense watching those games that he looks too old, too slow, not quite
there is a sense in which maybe there have been a couple of games in which he hasn't had quite the impact that you would expect of him. Not because he's losing it, but maybe because he has suffered a couple more injuries. There have been some games in which he missed through injury, which haven't happened before, or maybe there have been some games that have been too physical for him, which wasn't the case in the past. Even in a continent like South America, where you will find no shortage of physical football, and Messi mostly has been like he has accustomed to it. But at the same time, now he's going to be 39. He's going to turn 39 during the World Cup, as he usually does. And it I can't stop thinking about the fact that through one of those injury layoffs for Messi, they just so happen to coincide with some of the best games the national team has ever played in recent years. For example, during the last Copa América, Argentina were pretty tame. I would say they weren't at their best. They won games, but they were far from the best. Right up until Messi got injured in the middle of the final after 60 minutes. I think he was crying in the substitutes bench after coming out. But after that, Argentina played their best football throughout the entire tournament, and eventually won the game. Their hardest game against Colombia was probably their best performance, and it came right after Messi left the pitch. And then I think this was March of 2025, March of last year. Messi was also ruled out from a double header against Uruguay away and Brazil at home, which would mean perhaps like easily the two hardest games of the qualifiers, apart from Colombia maybe. And
was that the 4-1?
Yeah, one of them was the 4-1 at home, which was an absolute drubbing. Thiago Almada was a star in that team. Thiago Almada now at Atletico Madrid. He's not been great for Atletico, but every time he has had the chance to play, not of course like replace Messi, but play sort of having the same sort of role when it comes to like taking on players and like dribbling and stuff. He has been like an inspired choice to like play in that sort of Messi role.
Why don't we talk through the team or the expected starting team? So, as an Aston Villa fan, I know the goalkeeper will be Emiliano Martinez. No doubt about that, I'd imagine.
No doubt whatsoever. I mean, if he's actually, there's a little bit of fear about what would happen if anything happened to him.
Right. There's no backup.
I mean, Geronimo Rulli is usually supposed to be the backup. He's goalkeeper for Olympique de Marseille. They've not been great this season. Walter Benitez moved to Crystal Palace. It doesn't have any playing time at all. Cup goalkeeper for Crystal Palace, and they got dumped out of the FA Cup by sixth.
Macclesfield.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not great. Those are supposed to be the three goalkeepers. So we must hope that nothing happens to Leo, and he's still performing relatively well.
And the defence, centre back.
Right.
Romero
and Lisandro Martinez, if they're healthy, I think they're like an elite centre back partnership. They haven't had many chances to play together because of Lisandro's consistent injuries. So most of the time that's been Nicolas Otamendi, still going strong at 37, 38 years old, I think. Which it brings a little bit of uneasiness to Argentines. They've blown hot and cold with Otamendi, I think. He always had that sort of error in him. Well, you can't quite say the same about Lisandro. Who is a great foil for Coutinho Romero as well. Mm-hmm. They look great together. They were great together at the Copa América. They were incredible. Fullback is a problem position for sure. I think Nicolás Tagliafico at left back is still a pretty solid, like a 7 out of 10 player, as much of a 7 out of 10 player as you can possibly get. But then there's next to no one to have as backup. And then on right back, that's where things get really like awkward, I think. Nahuel Molina, you can ask most Atletico fans, they can't wait to see the back of him. They hate him. Mm-hmm. So, and then Gonzalo Montiel has come back to River before turning 30, and he's already looking like being overrun in Argentina, which doesn't bode well. As like backup, we've seen Scaloni try with Nico Gonzalez and Juliano Simeone, two pacey wingers playing as fullbacks, just because.
Just 3-5-2,
no, usually in a 4 as well. Mm. They played in a 4 as fullbacks as well, simply because the options are so slim. It just doesn't look great. So yeah, defense is a problem position. Fullback, maybe centre back. We don't look all that bad as centre back, but fullback, yeah, that's
midfield. That's pretty strong with Enzo Fernandez, Alexis McAllister.
I mean, midfield is also kind of weird because as much as those players are usually like great and they we've seen them perform at a really high level. Apart from Enzo, maybe, and that's even somewhat debatable, none of them are at their best right now. Mm. Like McAllister is only just beginning to improve his performances. He scored again, in fact, on the day that we're recording.
He's scored a few recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, he had been like months before scoring, and now he's beginning to like get his goal scoring boots back on. But at the same time, he's been overrunning at Liverpool midfield. Rodrigo de Paul has moved to Inter Miami with Messi as well, which is something that's really head scratching for all of us, and
Why?
because he wants to play with Messi.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of the only logical explanation we can
What, they need to step down a bit early, it was perceived as?
Yes, very much so. While Franco Martantuono was seen as maybe, I mean, still just turned 18 in August, but like, he's still seen as somewhat of a successor of in midfield. He has been, I mean, Real Madrid has been a step too far for him, clearly. Then Gio Lo Celso is also like not at his best at Real Betis either. Then I think if I would pick one player that I think should definitely start at midfield is Nico Paz, who has been like one of the best players in Serie A, period. He's been incredible, and I think he should start. If nothing goes wrong or anything, he should start. And then apart from those names, I'm struggling to think about other players. Maybe Nico Dominguez. He's blown the Hudson Cup for Forest.
Yeah, no, it's not been particularly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just here's the thing, though. I mean, there have been several players in this national team that, at least in this season or the last 2 seasons, that not quite performed up to standard. You're looking at, McAllister, Cuti Romero, Julian Alvarez up front. He's had some shocking droughts with Atletico, but at the same time, even Divo Martinez has got a couple howlers here and there. But at the same time, there's always the feeling that once they put on that national team shirts, they get something from within them. I don't know from where, but like they perform at such a high level that just doesn't matter how they perform week in, week out for the clubs, that just they get some inspiration to just raise their levels to points where you just don't seem to be possible almost.
And talk me through the forward lines and how Messi fits into it, how Alvarez fits into it.
I mean, ideally, I think you would think of Messi as a number 10, or maybe like on a free role with Julian and Lautaro, just who are also very like hard working forwards. They're not just foxes on the box. They're just people who like to occupy different places around the attack and just move depending on how the attack presents itself. And there's some great finishers as well. Yeah, that would be ideal. I don't know how Messi's minutes are gonna be like managed. I think that at the group stage, I would certainly think that Messi will play a lot. I mean,
so chasing personal records.
For sure. I mean, he's only 3 goals away from Miroslav Klose's record at the World Cup, so that's like right on his side. But at the same time, I think there are some exciting options up front. I talked about Diego Almada before. I think if he's barely even playing at Atletico, and when he is playing, he's not doing a lot. I think that every time he's played for the national team, he's been really good, like really, really, really good. Like playing with a sort of freedom and just with a sort of like I don't know. He's so mischievous, like in the way he takes on players and doesn't care who he's facing against. He just loves dribbling against them. He just loves taking on them. I love to see that, and I think it's just something that you don't really see in elite European football right now. And just I love the fact that we still can produce players who can do that. So yeah, I mean, I think right now, maybe not based on form, because after all, even playing in a lower league, Messi has just been top goal scorer, top assist provider, and MVP for the MLS champions. But still, I think it's a coin toss depending on the game, depending on the opponent, between Messi and Almada to start in that number 10 role.
And talk me through the group and the potential path. Who might be the next opponent in the next round?
So Argentina got drawn in a group with Austria, with Algeria, and with Jordan.
Sounds like a pretty soft group to me.
It does. Having said that, Argentina are also quite good at making things difficult for themselves.
Well, Saudi Arabia, of course.
Yeah, and not just that, but also like you go back to 2018, they drew with Iceland on their debut. They got smacked by Croatia, and they needed an 85-minute winner to get past Nigeria. And even in 2014, they got 9 points, but they needed a a late winner against Bosnia, an even later winner against Nigeria, and they almost got drawn against Nigeria. So like,
A slow start is a theme.
yeah, it's usually difficult for them to just get going in their group. But I think, and also I think there's this statistic about Argentina never winning their opener after becoming world champions.
Mm-hmm.
The most famous case is 1990. They faced Cameroon, who I think were making their World Cup debut.
Yeah.
They got kicked out of the place, but they lost 1-0 as well.
And is there a sense? I mean, the US, it's not particularly close, but there's a lot of cultural links. It's lots of Argentinians live in the US. Is it a lot of excitement about loads of people going to go? I presume it's going to be huge crowds everywhere.
I mean, that's a given. That's a given. Simply because Argentinians are crazy, and they will like. No matter how the economy is here and just how ridiculously expensive the tickets are, like it seems like it's going to be the case in America, you will still find people buying those numbers, like going into huge debts and selling stuff just to be there and to support the national team. There's also a little bit of like when I was talking about this sort of muted lead up to this World Cup, I think the tickets have something to do with it, maybe the ticket pricing. I mean, it's going to be, of course, the fact that they're not all that far off Miami, and they're not going to be in Miami. I think they're going to be in Texas mostly, in Arlington. But like, I think it's not that far off. There's not quite as big of a community in Arlington, but you got San Antonio, which has a pretty massive community given the legacy of Manu Ginobili at Spurs. In the NBA.
Right, yeah.
So you got that. You got sort of that thing going on, and just usually there's this feeling about the Argentine diaspora in the US being pretty sizable as well, and there's going to be a lot of like, I mean, we've seen that in the Club World Cup. Look how Boca and River fans were moving.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those were actually people staying either in LA or in Miami, actually living there. So.
And the World Cup is here, like obviously you see it on sort of murals of Messi and Maradona, but you also see it on like public buses, the dates of the stars. Like, I've never seen that, and maybe because it's so recent, but the importance of the World Cup. I mean, what was it like? Were you here in 2022?
Yeah, it was very much.
What was it like?
It was even bigger. Like even on my way here, you will see that maybe if you ever been to General Paz and Cantillo, the freeway, there's this massive sign counting the days until the World Cup starts.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, like
and everything just stops. No, like you could walk down the street, like there's nothing.
I remember. One of my biggest like memories was actually in 2018, which was of course like a really miserable World Cup for us. So to prove that it goes both ways, because I remember like I had to watch the Croatia game, the one in which we got smacked 3-0. In university, like they even put up a big screen for it and like excused students from attending classes to watch that game.
Yeah.
But after we lost, of course my shift was my day was over when I came and I went outside at like 6 p.m. and there was no one on the streets.
Yeah.
No one. It was like I'm talking about like 9 de Julio, which is like one of the most one of the biggest and most populated avenues in Buenos Aires and maybe even Argentina, and it was like desolate. It was like a desert, no one there. And then you compare it to when we won it.
Yeah.
You've seen the images.
Wow.
You've seen the footage.
And talk to me about the sort of tension between Argentinian domestic football is not in a great place at the moment. Is that fair to say? But the national team is as good as it's ever been, almost.
Yeah, it's there's something very uncomfortable happening there, which is that as much as this has always been like such a source of joy and like pride for us for Argentina to be performing so well in the international stage. At the same time, that also gives validity and support, I think, to the people running the AFA, who are like massively unpopular among people, but at the same time, these people is just. If anyone has ever paid any sort of attention to the to the league formats, which you've kind of had a crash course on when
Yeah, I mean, I still don't really understand it, but yeah.
Yeah, so like you have this very MLS-like formats where you have a 30-team first division, 2 groups of 15, top 8 from each group progress to a playoff, and that is repeated for the second semester of the year as well. But at the same time, there's always stuff going on about rule changes in the middle of the season, or like league titles awarded just after the fact, or relegation being cancelled just because a few clubs demanded for it to happen. Now, for example, there's this sort of investigation being carried out by the national government on the AFA president and his right-hand man, and as a result of that, they decided that on the same dates that they're supposed to give their statements to the courts, there's not going to be any football, just as a measure of like protest, which is something that the clubs have all, the club boards have all sided with the AFA on this, but the fans, like when you go to the statements on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, you look at the comments and it's all fans of their own club saying, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing this?" Like, we're all living in a state of like I don't know, nervousness and like just fed up with everything. But at the same time, nothing happens.
But is there a sense the national team kind of sits outside of all this?
Yeah, that's when the awkward questions begin to arise, because I would like to think that the national team kind of works in spite of all that, or even like in parallel to all that. But at the same time, Tapia has accrued power mostly by being very close to the players. Like, for example, every time there was an international break, you would usually get Messi and the ball getting together with Tapia, sharing some mates and posting a picture of them doing so, playing truco as well on their social media, which I think that has been increasingly growing more and more controversial as more controversies happen within Argentina. I feel like now there's going to be this Finalissima game against Spain in March, and given how much scrutiny Tapia, the president, is being subjected to at the moment, that he's at his most unpopular among people ever, maybe. Not that he cares any bits, but at the same time, if he uploads that picture with Messi and the ball again, at one point do those criticisms and that anger starts being directed.
Messi, yeah.
Exactly, and like
because he's like untouchable, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that he is, but at the same time, I feel like he's doing some stuff that is kind of testing that sort of status of untouchability. Maybe I don't know if that's the word.
Yeah.
But like, for example, his family at least have founded a club which has bypassed all sort of like measures to go straight into the Argentine pyramid. And they have so much more money than everyone else that they are like buying up best players from like 1 or 2 divisions above, and just beginning to get controversy on that. That's not a big like news story for now, but I feel like as the years go by, I fear that it might become one. But also at the same time, Di Maria is playing for Rosario Central. He's the hero of almost every final that Argentina won. But at the same time, now he has been like at the center of a massive controversy around his club, Rosario Central, who have been awarded a league title out of nowhere. Simply just so that they can say that Di Maria is a league champion here, and he has been pretty much apologetic to all of that. He's not he's not shown any sort of remorse or resistance to that. He's very happy to be a part of the whole circus, and I fear that as time goes by, this is like a personal, and this is not something that is happening in general, this is like a personal fear of mine, but I do wonder if us, the heroes of 2022, begin to like keep putting the Argentine people's patience to the test, is that not going to become something of an awkward question? at any point. I mean, the fact that they're world champions almost make them like immortal, but like at the same time, they're really stretching that immortality, aren't they?
I feel like that's a good point to end on, the heroes of 2022 and what comes next. But yeah, thank you, Santi Baúza in Buenos Aires, and now we're off to see Independiente.
Of course.